Jaclyn Hill is launching another brand, and you guys know what that means. More drama. Every time Jaclyn launches anything, it always ends in some kind of controversy, and the launch of her new brand isn't proving to be any different. Recently, Jaclyn has been laying pretty low and keeping to herself. She hasn't been in any drama lately, and it seems like she's been focusing on her brand, Jaclyn Cosmetics. Well, Jaclyn decided that she wanted to expand her business outside of cosmetics, and she announced her newest business venture called Cozy, which is a loungewear and comfort line. Jaclyn wrote a little introduction to her line, which says, "Meet Cozy, a comfort collection created by beauty mogul and entrepreneur Jaclyn Hill. Cozy was founded on the mission, be kind to you, as a reminder to practice self-love, created to look great on anyone. The Cozy brand uniquely embodies the feeling of being surrounded by warmth and love." She also showed off the new collection over on YouTube.
Okay, you guys, I don't know where to start because there's several products in my first collection and I'm so excited about all of them. I can't tell you what my favorite is. I'm just gonna dive in. I'm gonna grab a really big one.
Now, Jaclyn has been receiving a lot of backlash over this line. One thing that people are complaining about is the pricing of the items. She has slippers for $30, a single pair of socks for $24, and a blanket for $140. A lot of fans just think everything is way overpriced, writing, "For this amount, I would rather go to Nordstrom and get the soft UGG blanket or Barefoot Dreams. At least they are brands we are familiar with and know of. $140 for a throw blanket? Bye." These prices are ridiculous for sleep attire. And I have to agree. Obviously, I didn't buy anything, so I can't speak for the quality, but judging by the pictures alone, it kind of looks like basic stuff that you would find at like Winners for half the price. I was expecting the softest looking blankets ever for that price, but it kind of looks like any basic throw blanket that you would find at any department store. But the prices aren't the only thing that Jaclyn's being called out for. The main thing people are mad about is Jaclyn copying the name from another creator. When Jaclyn first announced the brand, a lot of people were like, that name kind of sounds familiar. And that's because Kayla Nicholson has a long-standing brand called Co's. And even though the brands are pronounced differently, they both start with a K and they're spelt the exact same way. Now, if Jaclyn and Kaylin weren't in the same space online, and if what they were selling was completely different, then having the same name wouldn't be as huge as an issue. Since they sell similar stuff like loungewear, and since they're both creator-owned brands, things could get pretty confusing, and of course Jaclyn's brand would overpower Kaylyn's. Jaclyn has a huge audience, so people would most likely associate that name with Jaclyn's brand. Her stuff would appear in search results over Kaylyn's, and it would have a negative impact on Kaylyn's sales. Not to mention, Co's isn't just a clothing line to Kaylyn, it's literally her entire brand. She has so many streams of her business under the Co's umbrella, from her podcast to her yoga and so much more. Funny thing is, in Jaclyn's reveal video, she talked about how hard it was to pick a name for the brand. She said she looked through tons of names, she made up names that weren't even words, and everything was taken.
My new brand is called Cozy. You have no idea how hard it was to name this brand. We probably went through 50 names. Everything was taken. Everything was trademarked. Oh my gosh. We even came up with words, like created words that isn't even a real word, and they were still taken and still trademarked. I was like, are you kidding me? Like everything's been thought of. It was not easy.
But surely if Jaclyn researched the name that much, she would have stumbled across Kaylyn's brand. Like, it's literally the exact same name, even spelt the same. And people aren't letting Jaclyn get away with this. Her entire comment section under her reveal video is filled with comments calling her out for stealing the name. I will never associate Co's with anyone but Kaylyn. You really could have picked anything else. Jaclyn, I love you girl, but Kayla Nicholson has had a brand named Co's for years. This is really sad. Stealing from another creator is never okay. A lot of people have been telling Kaylyn that she needs to sue and take Jaclyn to court. But that's not the path that Kaylyn has decided to go down. A few days ago, Kaylyn posted a video titled "Saying Goodbye to Co's," where she talks about everything that happened. From finding out about the brand to contacting the owner, aka Jaclyn, even though she never mentions her by name, and why she decided to close the brand.
So,
I started All Things Co's back in 2017. It originally started as a shop and I had hoodies. I also had kind of dress wear. I had mugs. I had a couple different things and I was just shipping it all. I was buying it in bulk and shipping it to my apartment in Toronto and then shipping it myself out to customers. And even then I was overwhelmed by the support that I had. Co's started out as a shop, but also a publishing house that I was publishing my books under. So I published my ebook Feels under it. I published Catcher I self-published, but I self-published through my business. So there was Co's Publishing and there was the Co's shop. It grew into a Co's blog. It grew into a different YouTube channel. And unknowingly, I think what Co's became for me was this separate entity that I was able to grow online that was different from me sharing my personal life and was able for me to create this comforting atmosphere online, have a little shop, have a little side business that wasn't so directly tied to myself and to my personal life sharing vlogs.
Like I said before, Co's was more than a store for Jaclyn. She had so many businesses and projects under the Co's name, which is why this was such a huge hit for her. Cozy might be another one of Jaclyn's business ventures that she ends up moving on from, but to Jaclyn, it was so much more. Jaclyn went on to talk about the costs associated with opening Co's. She had to incorporate, she had to pay for lawyers, and there was a ton of upfront costs to get the business going. She also admitted that at the time, she was really naive to protecting herself in business, and she never trademarked her company.
Trademarking is something that I originally didn't do. I was very naive in the business world. Incorporating in Canada definitely gave me some protection, but not enough protection. And it's no excuse, but I naively thought that nobody would, in the same realm that I would care about, come up with the same thing.
Jaclyn said around the second week of October, she started to get messages and she was being tagged in a post from an Instagram account with a similar name to hers. The account already had a few hundred followers, and it became clear to her that this account was most likely soon to be an influencer business.
When I fell across this Instagram only had like 300 followers at the time and only one post from July. And remember that it was from July because that will become important in a moment. So I just posted a comment on that Instagram post, which only had a couple hundred likes, just saying like, hey, I don't know if this is a brand launch of somebody, but if it is, and like maybe you didn't know I exist, but now you might. I am a YouTuber. I have a brand called All Things Co's. I did not create the cozy aesthetic by any means. And there's definitely enough pie for everybody. Like, I don't know what this brand even is supposed to be at this point. Like, if it's gonna be a huge lifestyle brand umbrella like I've created, that's awesome. If it's just merchandise, that's also awesome. Like cozy comforting wear, that's also awesome. But do you mind maybe just going by any other name?
She also talked about how when you search for Co's, her brand and her website was the first thing that came up, and she knew that with this influencer's following, she would quickly be pushed down and overshadowed by Jaclyn's brand. She addressed comments from people who were saying, oh, there's tons of businesses named Co's already. But Jaclyn said that this is different.
In terms of following, in terms of, you know, what you grew your influence under being YouTube and online content creation, that's very similar. The person that's running a restaurant, the person that's a DJ, the person that has a radio station doesn't have similar following, doesn't have similar startups, you know, from where they came from, where they started.
Jaclyn said the thing that bothered her the most was that instead of this creator reaching out to her and trying to talk things out or come to some kind of agreement, they responded by posting a reel with the cozy name with a TM symbol in bold. People were calling Jaclyn out over the TM post weeks ago, writing, if this is the response to the issue, then I'm so let down by this behavior. It's the TM for me. Jaclyn said the whole response really didn't sit right with her, especially since Jaclyn didn't actually have the name trademarked. As soon as she found out about what Jaclyn was doing, she started the process of trademarking Co's. Her lawyers told her that she could still fight for her brand, and if she got the trademark approved before the other cozy, she would have a better chance of winning any lawsuit.
When it comes to trademarking, especially in the US, now I'm a Canadian and my business is incorporated in Canada. For me to go through the process in the US, they definitely favor whoever files first. So instantly when we found out that they hadn't filed, and I would check back a week and a week after that, still no filing. And my lawyer assumed it was because this person was waiting for their first sale, because if you have sold something under a brand name, the filing process for trademarks is very different. We assumed they were waiting until their launch day to file their trademark because it would be a different process, which gave me some time to file mine first.
But here's the thing. If Jaclyn did get her trademark approved first, it would have cost Kaylin so much money to file any kind of legal proceeding against her. Her lawyer told her it would be around $95,000, and since she's Canadian, it would have ended up costing her a lot more. Kaylin decided that she didn't want to legally pursue anything. She knew it would cause a ton of drama, and she just wanted nothing to do with it. So she decided not to file her trademark and walk away from Co's for good. She's gonna shift her focus to rebranding and making something even better.
I lose following through the rebrand, and even if there's work that ends up being kind of, lost in letting go of Co's, I do think that I actually may have needed this push. I wouldn't have come to this if this didn't happen. So I'm not saying thank you by any means, definitely not. But I will give credit to the experience, not the brand or the person, the experience.
And she's been getting so much support under her video. Here's what people had to say. When others go low, respond by going high. You have so much more class than she ever will. The name can be taken, but the passion, love, effort, creativity, sleepless nights, stressful days, and everything you did to create more than just a brand name, to create the community, the positivity, the safety, the atmosphere, can never be taken away from you. As much as the name represented, a name is also just a name. Everything you did to create the Co's community is still here, and we are all still in so much appreciation and awe of you. I'm excited for all is yet to come. So yeah, it's really good that Kaylin still has the support of her fans, but it's still a really crappy situation. I can't imagine working so hard, building a name for yourself on the internet, building a brand from the ground up, and having it stolen from you by someone in your own community. So far, Jaclyn hasn't responded or addressed the situation. Anyways, guys, let me know what you think about everything down below, and I'll see you next time.